Hi, this is Robert Kiyosaki, and you're listening to Capital Hacking. This is the most important thing you can listen to today.
He's the one.
I have a dream.
With great power comes great responsibility.
I could do this all day.
This is it. Don't get scared now.
They may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom.
Cinderella's story out of nowhere.
It's in the hole. That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Capital Hacking begins in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to the big show. Josh McCown here with the world famous John Edwin. Great to see you, buddy.
Josh, it's always great being with you. It's also always great interviewing these amazing people that we get to have on our podcast. And today is Fred Hubler, good friend of both of ours.
Yep.
Third time on the show. He crushes it, brought new material. I mean, the guy is just doing great things. And by the way, like, subscribe, and send it to your friends because this is amazing information.
Yeah, it is. It is an important thing to ask you guys to share along with us this episode. But I'll tell you why you want to hear this one out, because Fred, first of all, does speak twice as fast as us. He cracks you up the entire time. You'll hear me. I couldn't hold it in. He says so many funny things without the punchline. There's no drummer. Boom, boom, boom. He just says it one after another one. Okay. But he's telling us the 3 steps to create a moonshot in your life. And a moonshot is something, I don't hear that expression too often, but it goes all the way back to when JFK says, "We will put a man on the moon before the end of this decade." And then Fred took it from there, baby. And we're going to hear the inside scoop on a TED Talk. This is a powerful episode. Could change your life. By the way, have you already clicked share this with a friend? I don't know. Now's a good time. John, I mean, look, when you get Fred Hubler on the call, you know you can't hit record fast enough, John.
You know, it's throttle down Thursday, so we don't mess with that pedal to the left. That's the brake. We're going all the way down. We were 100 miles an hour, and Josh says, Fred, stop. We got to start recording. So, Fred,
welcome.
Let's roll, baby. Welcome back. Time on the show. He comes in every 100 shows. Let's go, baby.
I want one of those Saturday Night Live, like those coats you get when you're like a 5-timer. I think I'm only a 2 or 3-timer, but I'll get that coat eventually.
We're going to have to double dip because you're in the 400. We're in the 4th century of episodes, Fred. So you got to get in one more time so we can.
All right, I will do that.
Real quick.
Success for you, though. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
So, Fred, what are you working on right now? What's your moonshot?
Perfect. Great question. So it's a longer, it's not recent, but when I,
Fred, before you do that,
yes,
for 1 second, can you give the elevator speech on why we love Fred Hubler? What is Fred Hubler doing in the
conversation? I think people like me because I'm authentic. I think people like me because I dive into alternative strategies, and I grew up with the X-Files. I trust nobody. And I also grew up with Ronald Reagan, trust but verify. So I grew up in Delco. I still say Wooder. And I think people are either attracted to that and come or I'm not blue blood and you're going to get that in this conversation. I do curse a little bit more than I should, but I'll keep this clean. I promise. But I always felt like the rich got richer because they knew something the rest of us didn't. And not only is that true, it's a government program called accreditation, which some of your listeners, and I know the 3 of us know what that is. It's kind of stifling the information and stifling the choices.
Yeah.
And I want to lift up the velvet rope and that the people that are good people that just happen to be accredited, but they're not blue blood trust fund, 30 years ago is when the money was made. Now they're just milking it. I want real people. So that's what we've been doing for 20 plus years. And I think that's my, I write for Forbes. You can get my articles and they're free to you. I get paid by them. And the weird thing with the Forbes is not only am I writing about alternative investments, I'm the only guy they asked. And I didn't make up the asset class. If you were a camel trader and decided to trade sheep, that's an alternative investment 3,000 years ago. So it's not a new idea, but it was so weird, Josh and John. I went to Retainer-Based Planning, the URL, and no one even owned it. I bought it for 99 cents. And I thought at least a lawyer would have owned that. Like retainer planning, it's like happy birthday. It's such a phrase that anyone could use. So now I own that and I trademarked a version of Retainer-Based Planning, which is part of the Moonshot idea that kind of blew up. So I think that the thumb level is good dad, good friend, pretty decent advisor. And I don't think like everyone else, which when everything's working, I look like an outsider. But when everything goes goes to, where. And I was doing Harvard and Yale's been doing in their foundations, because I want to cheat on the exam too. I want to see what the smart kids are doing. And their answers are in the answer key. Like, their annual report is out there. And I built my company on it 24 years ago, because it says 80% of their money is not in alternative investments and things that Accountable Equity does. It's things that you and John invest in and I invest in. And it's not a ticker. Like, it's not a Vanguard fund. It's just, that's not how real wealth is made. It might be how it's diversified and protected, but you need to be very specific to make wealth. You got to do one thing well and then diversify. And all of us see this on Instagram of, 10,000 forms of, layers of income. You don't start there. You start with taking the risk and doing the moonshot. So for us, the moonshot was, and most of my trademarks and most of my aha moments have come from a cigar. So I apologize for those that are anti. So I just got probably, infiltrated by social media, but I saw a Twitter, X article on the health benefits of a cigar. I'm like, oh my God, and it was real. Like, it's not nicotine.
Did you write that? Did that come from Forbes magazine, Fred Hubler?
It should not, but if alternative smoking could be an alternative investment, cigar smoking, I'd be right there. And if your listeners play this back at half speed, it's a normal speed. I get it. I'm only 1 Celsius in. So on the moonshot side, I pretended like I never left my W-2 job. And what if I had a ton of assets, but not a ton of investable money? I have it in real estate, I have it in my business, or I'm a CEO and I have it all in my 401k. I still have a lot of moving parts, but I don't have investable assets. And the entire industry is built on find someone you like, they charge you 1%, they put your money in harm's way, and then you get the advice. And if they're really good, the advice probably is, don't give me your money now, go put it in your real estate, go put it in your, and that's the industry. And everyone looks at each other and go, well, that's the way it is, so we're going to do it. So in 2020, during my, when all had time when we all should have been cleaning our basements and none of us ever did, we know it's not because we didn't have time. We just didn't want to clean our basements. And my basement still needs to be cleaned. I almost want to get my basement fixed just so that people have to move
cleaning.
Stuff.
That's the title of this episode.
Basement clean.
Hey everybody, it's Robert Helms, host of the Real Estate Guys radio program. And when you're not listening to our show, make sure you're tuned to Capital Hacking. You're going to dig it.
So landing the plane, I ended up having and living through what we'll call the hockey stick moment. You're doing the same thing. You're looking around, you think it's going to work, and then everything blows up in a good way. And I know each of you have had that in your moments. And sometimes it happens in, you find someone, you get married, it doesn't always have to be business. But for me, it was after I trademarked that retainer-based planning idea, for 2 years, nothing happened. Crickets. I mean, whatever's quieter than crickets, that's what it was.
I remember.
It's what I would want if I was still at my W-2 job. And like, oh my God. And I had a campaign. We did commercials. And then 2023, everything happened that I wasn't expecting, bigger than I was there. That's when the Forbes showed up. And the joke, and I know you guys know this, but I wouldn't return the phone call. I thought they were trying to sell me a subscription. We have a PR guy, which again is another weird thing that happens now. And it's like, are you not calling Forbes back? I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, they want to hire you and pay you to write about alternative investments on Forbes.com. So of course I said, well, have them call me back. I'll take the call. I didn't want to buy a subscription. So when the hockey stick happened, probably end of 2023, I had another cigar. So one of the cigars was the patent idea on retainer-based planning. An earlier cigar was, I'm in literally Vanguard's zip code when I started my office. How am I going to compete with a Vanguard? I focused on alternative investments, and that was 20 plus years ago. Now alternative investments is a $3 trillion business. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I realized was when I was decompressing how the hockey stick happened to me, I uncovered a recipe that is not only true for me because it's what happened to me. I back tested it. Josh, I back tested it for you and what you're doing.
Awesome.
Martin Luther King, Gandhi and Elon Musk and Henry Ford and Steve Jobs. So it's a very basic idea. I'm writing a book, though the book will be, more details, but there's 3 steps that all of us had done probably organically and even by accident. The first one is being a contrarian. Now that sounds like, if everyone's buying a stock, you sell a stock. I mean even broader than that. Everything man-made that we put our eyes on was a contrarian idea at some point. And I know you and we know people. If we're all sitting on the floor in the cave and Fred brings in the chair, you're going to look at each other and side eye me. I'm like, dude, the floor's not good enough for you, Fred. Like, what's wrong with the floor? You don't have to build anything. And now we take chairs for granted. Like, that's just a simple idea. Blue cheese. Like you see this mound of moldy, and you're in the restaurant business, so you know this. Who was the first guy to pick that up and say, I think because it smells like blue cheese. Like, you can't describe the smell without saying it's blue cheese. So you have this stinky, moldy, maybe edible thing. Guess how big the blue cheese market is? This will be audience participation time.
In the billions, of course.
Over $1 billion for moldy, stinky cheese. There are families that their whole entire bloodline will never have to work again because someone down the road picked up this piece of stinky cheese. Like, I think I can sell this. And I love blue cheese. So I'm not, and I love chairs. So that rule number one is being a contrarian is something that's out there, and everything you see, someone got crap for bringing it out there.
Yes.
The universe, reality, maybe not the universe, us as human beings, we don't like change. We don't like a change. If it's different, I don't want to do that. But then there's a membrane in life that eventually you puncture through. The idea punctures through. Now Teslas are everywhere. Electronic cars are everywhere. Chairs are everywhere. Blue cheese. Like now it's like, of course the world is blue cheese. But we look back, Netflix and Blockbuster, if we were going to say, Blockbuster all the way, I can still smell the carpet and when you go in there, it was a Friday night. It was an experience. And Netflix was struggling. And if you think about it, internet wasn't fast enough. Screens weren't big enough. No one's going to watch a movie on their phone if they even can download it. Well, now there's Netflix TVs. You can get a Venmo TV or, all those TVs. Blockbuster could have bought Netflix for $50 million.
Wow.
Netflix is $99 billion.
Wow.
Netflix is a whole movie studio. It's bigger than anything. And so that's a contrarian idea. So rule number one of the playbook is be a contrarian, which you can be, but step number two is really important. You have to be right. And you don't control that. So my contrarian idea was doing alternative investments. If I did it 10 years sooner, I would have no access. The big firms would not want high-end retail money because they were fine at the institutional level.
Right.
And individual investors wouldn't even want to do what Harvard and Yale's doing because why not? Vanguard's doing great or whatever they're into doing great. So number two is you have to be right, which means sometimes you test it. And sometimes you try things out in a market group or you throw it out there and you learn from it and you pivot. So if step one is being a contrarian, step two is be right. And there are people in life that we know that were right and that were a contrarian, but they never took step three. And step three is the scariest of the steps. It's taking massive action. It's putting yourself out there. I make a chair and I think people need to sit on chairs. That was not a good sale the first 5 years because why am I going to carry that? I can sit on the floor. And I'm using a chair, but there was side eye in that cave. Dude, John, why can't you sit on the floor like the rest of it? You think you're better than me? We know that's what happened.
Back if you don't, but yeah.
Yeah, you should. So here's the interesting thing. It is when I realized when I'm like, oh my God, that's what I did. And I back tested it. That's what Martin Luther King did. That's what Mother Teresa did. That's what Henry Ford did. And so in my book and in my talk, I go into more details, but you kind of get it. Be a contrarian, but you got to test it. I was a contrarian at my first job, and it was I got an internship, then got hired, but I was in finance at a Fortune 500 company, and I couldn't leave on a Friday without going on the computer that was all mainframe, and I had to wait until about 4:30 for a file to show up. And then I had to push it to another node, but it didn't show up until 4:30 on a Friday. And you couldn't do it from remote, this is in the 1990s. So it was before we had all the VPNs and all the other good stuff. And my boss had to do it for 12 years before me. So I asked him, hey, and his name was Sam, Chinese guy, nice guy. I'm like, hey, where's this go? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, who's it going to? I'm like, I don't know. Like, what do they use it for? It's like, I don't know, but you got to do it. It shows up, you got to push it. I had to do it for 12 years. I'm 2 weeks in the job, guys. And I'm like, hey, Sam, do you mind if I find out where this goes? Like, you're never going to find it. I'm like, I'm going to find out where it goes. Because I haven't been able to go to the shore on Friday. I could get my work done on Wednesday and still have to show up at Friday at 4:30 in Bluebell, Pennsylvania to push this button. So it took a week of sleuthing. I found the guy, and I called him up. Hey, I can't leave on Fridays until 4. He's like, let me stop you there. Are you the SOB sending me the JT file? I'm like, I think so. He's like, that's John Thomas. He was laid off 20 years ago. He had a Unix super user account on this mainframe. What you push to me, to my server, freezes worldwide payroll for the entire company. And we don't know where it was coming from. I'm like, so you don't need it anymore? He's like, I will have you fired if you ever send it again. I'm like, that's a win. I'm like, all right, that's a win. But now I got to go break the news to my boss who did this for 12 years. I had the patience to do it for 2 weeks. Like that is my tolerance of shit. It's like, I ain't doing that. I'm like, now if I had to be done, I would do it a better way, or maybe get him I would have him go self-serve. Like, I wasn't going to ever not do my job, but I would like to do it smart. So I go into, I had a cube. Sam had an office. I go into his office and I'm like, I get good news and bad news. And I don't know if it's all Chinese people, but he's like, what's the bad news? I'm like, that's pretty good. I did, because most people like, what's the good news? Like, what's the bad news? I'm like, you could have had 12 years of Fridays. It's like, what do you mean? I explained it to him. I swear to you guys, he rebooted in front of my eyes. He I didn't really, he just rebooted. Okay. And that was it. And he looked back down on the computer. Like that was a not thank you, not you're smarter, not, I think I broke the man. Like at the end of the day, I'm like, I don't think it's going to helpful in my review. So that was being a contrarian. Now, the massive action for that was kind of like finding out where it needs to be. But people can do this in their W-2 jobs. And the world needs change because that's the only way improvement happens. But it's the scariest thing to do when you're the first doing it because there's no frame of reference and you could fail. And when you're failing after you take that massive action, and the history books are filled with footnotes of contrarians that were right and didn't do enough. If you're on the right track but don't go fast enough, you still get run over. And we see it in real life. McDonald's is successful. Here comes Burger King. Coke, here comes Pepsi. Yahoo, here comes Google. Like, even if you're right, even if you're a contrarian, even if you're taking massive action, if you're really that right, you're not, like, you can get a chair anywhere. There's a billion blue cheese outlets. I mean, so it's not like it's all going to be yours forever. And the interesting thing is if you are running a company, you may be the JT in your own company. My company is 20 plus years old. And sometimes I ask stupid questions like, why are we doing it that way? And sometimes the answer is, well, in 2012, that's the way you said to do it. I'm like, oh my God, guys, the world's changed 900 times. I'm like, holy crap, I'm the JT of this, in some cases, because you're the boss or because and, I think anything that's maybe 3 years older or older as a strategy or how we do things probably needs to have a really hard look at it because the world's not the same 3 years from now. We don't even do 5-10 year strategy sessions because that's just a waste of everyone's time. You have a North Star where you want to go, but you're not going to know how to get there. And even if you do, it's not going to be the way you do it. So I'm going to take a breath, let you answer any questions. I made you laugh, that was part of my.
Go ahead, John.
So it's interesting thinking back, Fred, and for those who are listening, I was in that meeting when Fred was talking about retainer-based investing and not taking a percentage of everything that you invest. It's rather like an attorney, you're paying a fee up front for his expertise, and he's a neutral source then, so that, it's not slanted where he's giving you the absolute best advice possible. And I remember a couple years later asking him, hey, Fred, how's it going? And he's like, it's not. And it's such an amazing idea that he kept pushing. So my question, what beckons me is, Fred, what happened in 2023 where you said it shifted and the hockey stick happened?
Hi, this is Melanie McCallan. Josh and I are just so grateful for the many investors who have already joined us at Accountable Equity. Accountable Equity is so much more than a capital group. It's really a community of accredited investors that want to learn and grow together. I just want to personally invite you, if you want to find out more about this type of investment and see if it's right for you and your family, please visit us at accountableequity.com.
Hey, it's Hal Elrod, author of The Miracle Morning, and you're listening to Capital Hacking. Enjoy.
So I think all of the boomerangs, anything in life is like putting things in the sales pipeline. You put a bunch of marbles at the top.
Yep.
And if you look at the stuff that really moves the needle in your life, I guarantee you it probably wasn't in your business plan. Like something happened. You made a connection, or they gave you a referral, or you got a client in and you found something out. So for me, it was a 20-year, I was early, and it was a multiple 20 years. So what ended up happening is people realized And one of the Moonshot, and the reason for the whole Moonshot, so I do need to, as my wife would say, land the plane on the Moonshot. I had 2020, I had thought maybe I should, I was concerned that I'm always being conservative because every payment, every car out in the parking lot I'm paying for, I know their house I'm paying for. And so I'm never hiring more people and I don't want to lay anybody off. And we were looking at hiring someone from Vanguard, and it would have been a great CFP, but he was on the older end and I didn't mind about that, but he's probably 2 or 3 years away from retiring. And I asked him, why would you leave Vanguard to come here?
Yeah, at that time.
And this was the beginning of the Moonshot concept because he was the first one that brought it up. And I believe that if someone tells you something and you see the same thing 3 times, so if Josh or John, you tell me you should read this book, and then I see it at the airport, and then a friend of mine's reading the book, like I'm going to read the damn book. Like the universe, to me, the number 3 is important. I see it 3 times. So this guy, I'm like, hey, and this is before the new office, before any of the Moonshot idea, because to have a Moonshot, you got to decide you want to go to the moon. And I hadn't decided yet. So I'm like, hey, just out of curiosity. And I wasn't the first person he interviewed in the office. We ended up not hiring him. He was great, other than he probably had a year or 2 with me. So a year to get your sea legs, a year that you're here, and then you retire the 3rd year. That wasn't worth the squeeze, wasn't worth the juice. But what he said to me, and part of me thought he's just trying to, impress the boss. So I didn't take it seriously, but he was like, hey, I'm like, why would you leave Vanguard to come here? They have a beautiful commissary. I have whatever you bring in a paper bag. Like, I don't have anything. I'll give you a Wawa gift card or something, but I don't really have that. We didn't have an office for him. Like, we had to figure out where to put him in the old office. He's like, well, what do you mean? You're like the next John Bogle. I'm like, whoa. What are you talking? Unpack that. He's like, index investing, simple idea. No one knew it was an idea, but when they did, they take it. I'm like, that's great, but I am like anti-index. I am alternatives, not market. I am that. He's like, I'm not talking about index investing. Retainer-based planning, as John just said, simple idea. And if people know it's an option and they're worth, let's say, 5 million and above, they're going to take it every time because it's not an AUM model. Keep the money where it is. Keep your Merrill Lynch guy, keep your Edward Jones guy, but they're not going to tell you should buy another piece of property. I will. They're not going to help you buy a jet. That's what we do that all the time. So he's like, you have to take your Moonshot. I'm like, all right. So he's like, I'm connected. All right. So then I had a client. I still have a client, and he's like, hey, I have to let you know, I'm really surprised. Everything you've ever showed me, I thought was Bernie Madoff because I never saw it before. As you know, accredited investments can't be advertised, and it's really hard to find information. And one of the reasons I decided to write for Forbes, because what they're paying me isn't, I'm not going to retire over it. I put it in Bitcoin, and hopefully that makes it worthwhile.
Right.
It's that I want to educate people. So every one of my articles, any one of your listeners, put Forbes.com, put my last name in. It's free to subscribe. All I write about is alternative investments, and I don't solicit. I'm not saying you should buy this. It's like, here's what a DST is. Here's what oil and gas. So this client said, hey, everything you ever showed me, and it was 60 something at the time. He's like, I was a very sophisticated investor. I had no idea what you did even exists. So he's a great referral source. We got all of his money. He loves what we do, but he was the second guy to say, but when are you going to take your Moonshot? I'm like, what is it with that word? Like, we're not in 1969 where it's in the vernacular. Like, it was weird. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, everything you're doing is unique, but not just yours. Someone else could have a different version of a retainer-based planning. They can't use retainer-based planning, but retainer-based. I mean, there's tricks you can do. He's like, and no one knows enough about you for you to be the 100-pound gorilla. So you got to take your Moonshot. Oh my God, there's second Moonshot. So, it was the winter-ish of, I think, 2019, maybe early 2020. I'm outside having another cigar, and I don't smoke as many cigars as I'm up to 3 now.
By the way, you do smoke as many as
he definitely does. He definitely does smoke more cigars than most
He's like
of us.
trying to back off the cigar smoking, John.
It's the 7th pillar of abundance, so help me God.
Hold on 1 second. So, Josh, you don't know this, but we're going to digress for 1 second. I called Fred literally 3 days ago, and he doesn't say hello. He goes, John, when are we having cigars again? It was first. That was his hello.
I might have an issue. I'll talk to my therapist. So I'm outside, and I just heard, that, and this is in 2 weeks, the Moonshot idea came up. Like, it wasn't like it was years, it was like in the same 2 weeks. So my daughter was big on the Hamilton play, and listening to the album over and over again. And I think between that is how they know all their history. I don't think they learned anything in school, but they know everything about Alexander Hamilton, more than I did. And so I'm outside, and I'm I'm spiritual. I was raised Catholic, so I'm a recovering Catholic, but I believe you get what you put out there, and you got to be a good person when no one's watching. Like to me, that's so. I'm having a cigar, so I wasn't praying, but I just thought to myself, if this is my moonshot, I got to play a different ball. I got to play bigger. My daughter comes out with her headphones on, and I was outside, but it was winter, but it was like a warm break. So I'm like, all right, I'm having a cigar. She comes out singing, I'm not going to miss my shot from Hamilton. Right after I say to myself, I need a sign if this is my moonshot. I still get goosebumps talking about the story. I'm like, Abby, what are you doing? She goes, I just came out to say I love you. I'm like, do you need anything? She's like, no, I just want to tell you I love you. You just cost me a lot of money. I just thought to myself, shit. So I was like, see, I wasn't going to curse.
So why did she cost you a lot of money? What did you decide to do with that?
Bought a high school, hired more people, did an advertising campaign during the Super Bowl where I jumped and the commercials I own. I think you guys saw some of them.
We love them.
They're on our YouTube channel. I haven't done another one, but I jump in the shower with one guy. I literally make fun of Fisher Investments, but a lawyer came to me, like our lawyer's like, you can't do that. You can't have this conversation in an office. So one of our close friends, I asked him if I could borrow his upstairs for his restaurant. So I did it in the but it was the same commercial I was going to do in the video. So it doesn't look so Fisher Investments. And in that commercial, it's great because it's a real conversation where an advisor and a couple, they're like, well, everything's down. And the advisor's like, yeah, but it's different, down in different amounts. And the husband's like, well, everything's red. And the advisor's like, yeah, but it's different color red. Dude, like that, those are real conversations. If you've never been on, like, I've had these conversations when I was at the, wirehouse, like,
but they're different colors of
down. So the moonshot for me was putting it out there, saying yes to Forbes, saying yes to life, being when someone asked me to do something, doing that, and standing for, and this is really the mission behind it. I feel everyone should be treated like a millionaire. And there are now investments we have access to that you don't have to have $1 million. They're like 70,000 of net worth, which if you don't have that, you probably shouldn't be investing anyway, like pay off some bills. Like, I don't mean to be cavalier, but there's stages of life and you don't invest first. You invest after you got your ins and your outs balanced and you have more, coming in than going out. Then you can build your safety and then you can do some investing, which is, how we got where we are. Unless you're really luckily and invest and it goes up, but that's gambling. There's nothing there. So for me, the moonshot was, owning it and understanding that if anyone's going to be a major access point to regular folk who I love to get access to alternative investments, why not me? I've been doing it for 25 years.
Yep.
I got patents, I got trademarks. And the interesting thing is we've been doing it for so long. I have access to investments other people don't know about because me and my clients eat it all. Like we'll get a call, say, before we're on the shelf for everyone else, how much of this $60 million things do you want? Now, 60 million sounds like a big number. In the world of trillions, it's not even a rounding error. Like it is 5 decimal points to the right. So 60 million is not as big. I mean, I'm not complaining. And so we'll get calls. And so that's really our leverage is not just the advice, which no one's really doing. And it's not it's not free advice. We charge a retainer, but here's the unintended consequence of something that when you put it out there, being a contrarian, I was not doing the retainer-based planning to gather assets under management. It was actually anti that. It was like, hey, don't give me any money. You might be where it needs to be. I'm not firing anyone you're working with, but let's look at everything. And when you're a retainer client, for our clients, any sentence that has a question mark and a dollar sign comes to us. I want to keep this partner. How do I keep them? I want to get rid of this partner. How do I buy a plane? Like that stuff. It's not an investment. It's not a mutual fund. Let's figure it out. And so that all kind of happened, and owning it was the part of the moonshot, and telling and sharing it with my team. Here's what we're doing. Here's what we stand for. And having, so many things happen in 2023. So the Forbes showed up. I got a Boy Scouts, award. I'm not even a Boy Scout. I got the, Phoenixville, which is our local town, champion of Citizen of the Year. I am, so that was 20 years in the making. I was on every nonprofit. And we got a Daughters of the American Revolution award because we have a flag, and I bought the building with the flag. There you go. The flag got stuck, so I called the fire department to unstuck it, and I tried to get the fire department some good press, and they got some good press, but it said a Creative Capital. So now I'm an honorary member of the Daughters of American Revolution, which I only know through Gilmore Girls and my wife and my daughter. So, and all of this show, and I'm like, and my friend's like, did you sell your soul to the devil? Like, no, I just have been left field for 20 years. Now the field's moved, and I'm ahead of the pack, and I haven't moved. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Hey guys, it's John Vroman, founder of Front Row Dads, and you're listening to Capital Hacking, the best investment you'll make today.
Fred, dude, you crushed it. You crushed it. Now, just we're coming to the end here, but I do want to hear two things. What are your thoughts on the Rebels Playbook and the TEDx that we were discussing a little earlier?
So I think the Rebels Playbook is an evergreen. It's almost like the power of intention. Like once you see it, like, oh my God, I can't believe that guy thought about that. Not only did I think about it, I went on Google. No one's written a book about it. I'm like, there's no one in history that hasn't followed that recipe in some derivative. So I think it has legs. I think it's inspiring for anyone, whether they're a W-2 job, you can think different, just like I did at my W-2 job. If you're an employer, or you're an entrepreneur, there's plateaus that we hit. Like at first we want to be competitive with the other person. And then we beat them. Who are we competitive with? You need to set the bar. Who's your best self? And using that contrarian idea, be a contrarian in your own office. Why are you doing it that way? It might be because in 2012, Fred said to do it XYZ. Well, the whole world's changed. I didn't know they didn't change with it. That's on me to not know, that they're still doing it the old way. So that contrarian model can definitely be applied anywhere. And the TED Talk, I think, is going to be fun because that should be one. I would love to do it. I've been calling it a Fred Talk, and I probably trademark that if you'll probably sue me. So I won't trademark that. But I think that has legs to get me out in front of more people. Because if more people know that, hey, there's a whole category of investments and you don't always have to be a millionaire. I mean, there are some for accredited investors that we do, but all of my old clients from when I worked at a wirehouse and I started, my 20-year-old clients, they deserve to be like Harvard and Yale too. Just because they're not accredited, they're great people. And so I really want to make sure the people that liked me and trusted me early on and had no other reason to work with me. I wasn't in Forbes, wasn't in Barron's. You can't Google me back then and find all the stuff about me. Now I got people, proud that I'm their guy, which is great, but I want to make sure the OG versions of that person who was already here 20 years ago were taking good care of them. So for me, the TED Talk's a work in progress. I think it has legs and I think it'll be a fun talk. And I've been invited multiple places to give it. And I'm still tweaking it. So I have, data on Apple and I have some evidence-based, for a longer conversation, but you get it. Be a contrarian, be right, which you have to test. You have to have your timing right. You might be right in the wrong time. So, don't put all your eggs in one basket and hope it works. And then once you're right and you're doing something different, you got to take massive action. You got to go out there and do TED Talks. You got to talk about what you're doing or else it won't matter. And then someone's going to hear about your idea and just have more marketing or be able to be out there louder than you. And then you're no longer Coke and Pepsi, McDonald's and Burger King. You're Roy Rogers and no one even knew you existed.
By the way, Roy Rogers, I love that you just saw it. Do you guys see what I'm putting up on the screen right now? Have you guys ever heard that expression?
I love that.
George Bernard Shaw.
Yeah.
You've heard this one before, right? I'll read it because it sounds a lot like a great testament to you, Fred. The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable man persists to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man.
Doesn't mean it's easy, though. You and I both have had, probably the three of us have gray nose hair for the stuff we're doing because you don't know what's going to work when you're trying it out. I hope it works. And for me, 2 years, 2 to 3 years before I'm like, oh my God, this is something. And now I have to hire more people and the whole, the other end of it, which is great. No complaints.
And
I
Fred,
love it. And
Fred, for your third point, you said take massive action. I want to inject one word, and it should be immediate. Take massive, immediate action.
And to my big takeaway, which was such a great visual of being a revolutionary, meaning all progress depends on you, is the chair in the cave. And then I love that you added to it. You're like the guy who brings a chair in the cave. Everybody's like, "What? You too good for the floor?" That was a whole other teaching you could have given, which is why are you doing it differently? I hate you is extremely powerful, right, John? I mean, that's the whole reason you and I try to get around people that say you're doing it differently good rather than you're doing it differently.
Because it's tough. If everyone around you is like, that's never going to work, that's your opinion. Like you got to have something. I don't know whether it's fortitude or faith. Like you got to have something because you're not going to have anything outside of you that's going to justify what you're doing until you do it.
That's right.
And that's a very lonely place to be. And all of us are married. So you got to have, like, your wife has to trust you. It's like, you sure you want to do this? I'm like, I'm sure I want to do it. Like I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And you have to burn the bridges. Like John said, immediate action, but you got to do it and don't look back, because if you do it half-ass, you're wasted everyone's time and money. And you probably gave an idea to someone who's just going to take it better than you because you were too chicken to do it.
Great job.
We should talk so much longer, but thank you for having me back.
Where can our listeners follow up with questions, brother?
I think ccwmg.com is about the company, and they can read all about that stuff. I think my biggest value add, they can contact me through there too, is go to Forbes.com, put my last name, Hubler. I'm the only Fred that shows up. And then you can read all the articles. I think you get 5 free a month. But you can subscribe. And as I do new articles, and the fun thing, and I'll land the plane here, the first article, I did use ChatGPT. It was very easy. They then sent an email to all the contributors. And I'm not the only contributor. I'm the only alts guy. So there's a personal finance or the political guy. I can't talk about what they're talking about. They can't talk about my stuff. So they sent an email saying, we're going to use AI to see if you're using AI, so you can't use AI. So like, all right. My wife's a second grade teacher. She works in the firm now. So I do a second article just on me. I mean, just from me, no AI. It's handed to my lovely wife. I get it back as a C-, and she redlined the whole damn thing. Like I had dangling participles. I don't know what that is. And so I'm like, honey, you're the boss at work, but you need to fix this. And she said, well, if I fix your article, you're not going to be a better writer. I'm like, I don't need to be a better writer. You just have to make the writing. So half is a very big number, happy wife, happy life. We now hired a gentleman who likes writing and is an advisory, is one of our team. But I'm like, hey, could you help me? And so now we have an intermediary between me and my wife, and everything's back to normal. So those articles, other than the first one, are true. I'm back to high school every 3 weeks. I'm writing a term paper, and I love it. But
and the name of the business, you said it really quick, is Creative
Capital Wealth Management Group, ccwmg.com. Or I think Forbes.com is where your listeners should go to just get an understanding of alts. Happy to help them and happy to be on your show again.
Can't wait to get you back.
All righty. Gentlemen, take care.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Damn straight. We just got we got to the end of another great show. And everyone listening right now, you're the family and friends. Thanks for staying till the end.
That was so fun. And hey, hit the like, hit subscribe. We're here to serve you guys. That's why we're doing this show. Josh is not paying me. I'm doing this off of my quote unquote sweat equity because we want to make a difference in your life. And then that ripple effect will continue to touch the world.
Hey, amen, brother. Please check us out on capitalhacking.com, all the social media threads. And yes, I know you've probably already sent this episode to one of your best friends. Thank you. We love you. Just go right into your iPhone, hit the plus symbol. We'll talk to you later. See you next week.
Share.